Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Progress with number 24 in the series Viewers Games. This one is from Alex from Serbia. Hi, I'm Alex from Serbia. I was black and I'm interested in any tactics I missed, maybe, or any huge mistakes that were made that went unnoticed. I watch your YouTube videos regularly and really love your stuff. Thank you, Alex, for sending me this game, and sorry for the long wait. This game was played on the 14th of March 2017. 30 minutes per player for the whole game. I think this was a game that was played over the board instead of online, but I'm not sure. Anyway, let's look at the game. White is Petar. Black is our hero Alex. d4 from Petar. Knight f6 from Alex. Knight f3. g6. Bishop g5, the Torah attack against the King's Indian. Bishop g7. And here white plays queen c1, which is the 7th most popular move. The most popular move is knight bd2. Then black can castle, and then white takes the center with e2, e4. The idea behind queen c1 is to immediately swap that King's Indian bishop with bishop h6, but Alex prevents that by playing h6. Petar decides to take on f6 voluntarily. Of course he could have retreated the bishop, but he takes on f6. Alex takes back with the bishop and c3. Quite a timid move, developing with knight c3 or taking the center with e4 look more logical. Knight c6 developing, e3, d5, bishop b5, queen d6, and again white voluntarily swaps a bishop for a knight. Bishop takes c6 check. We have now the bishop pair against a knight pair. Black will want to open the position for his bishops. White will want to find good outposts for his knights. Such an imbalance always makes the game quite interesting. Alex took back with the queen. White castled. Bishop e6. Knight bd2. And Alex castles queenside. Opposite castling. Another imbalance in the position. It becomes a really interesting game now. Knight b3. b6, good move from Alex. He wants to keep the knight away from a5 or c5. a4, starting an initiative on the queen side. And g5, starting an initiative on the other side. That's what you see often with opposite castling, that one player attacks on one side of the board against the castled king, and the other player does the same on the other side. Here Petar plays knight fd2. Not a great move. Look at all white's pieces. They are on the queen side, while black is attacking on the king side. The white king does not have a lot of protection. A better move would have been knight e5, centralizing the knight, getting a nice outpost there, gaining a tempo on the queen, and queen d6. Then there is f4. And that knight is nicely placed on e5. Much better than on d2. So Alex keeps going with his initiative. He plays h5. And Petar decides to take his move back. Knight f3. So this knight maneuver has given black 2 free moves. And that is a lot in such a race for the initiative. g4. And now the knight went to e5, attacking the queen, so queen d6. And here it was high time for white to set up some counterplay on the queen side with a5. Yes, it will cost him a pawn. Bishop takes e5, d takes e5, queen takes d5. But then there is a takes b6, a takes b6, and knight d4. With compensation for the pawn. If after a5, instead of winning that pawn with bishop takes e5, black plays b5 to try and stop white's initiative, then the knight comes back to d3, There's a nice square there on c5 for the knights, and the position is about equal. But Petar did not play a5, trying to set up some counterplay. He played rook e1, and that's not a good move. Black's attack gets very strong now. Alex decided to take the pawn. Bishop takes e5, d takes e5, and queen takes e5. Knight d4, and the bishop went back to d7. Here white played knight b5, which is a bit of a jump in the dark. There's no follow-up on this aggressive knight move. You cannot follow it up with a5 because then your knight on b5 will be hanging. Black played king b7, protecting the a7 pawn, and Petar decides to take his knight move back. So for the second time, white plays a knight move and takes it back. And that loses a lot of time. Sometimes it's good, sometimes when you make a bad move, it's indeed the right thing to do to take the move back. Psychologically not easy, but sometimes it's the right thing to do. Here white does it a bit too much. So knight back to d4 and rook d, g8 from Alex. White has lost a lot of time with his knight maneuvers back and forth, and in the meantime black has got all his pieces pointed at the lonely white king. Queen, two rooks, bishop, and those aggressively placed pawns are all over white's king. And look at white's pieces. They're not helping the king out. g3, and that gives black a hook, which makes his attack even easier. h4 and rook a3, not really adding anything to the defense or to the attack, but it's hard to give white advice. He's utterly lost anyway. Let's see how Alex finishes the game. He took on g3, and here Petar took with the f-pawn. Let's have a quick look what would have happened if he had taken with the h-pawn. Then there is a very nice move, c5. And the idea behind that move is to get control over the f3 square, kicking the knight away to get control over f3. If the knight goes back to c2, then there is queen e4, and white gets mated. If you play f3, there's simply queen takes f3, and nothing you can do against checkmate on h1. If instead of f3 you play king f1, then there is queen f3, cutting off the escape route for the king. And again, rook h1 will be checkmate on the next move. That was after h takes e3 and then taking back with the h-pawn. Petar took back with the f-pawn. And here a beautiful move from Alex. Not difficult as the variations are all forced, but still very nice to be able to sack your rook. He played rook takes h2. Knight e2 from Petar, at least protecting the g3 square. What would have happened if you would have taken that rook? King takes h2. Well, then there is rook h8 check. If the king goes back to g1, there is queen takes g3 check. King f1, rook h2, and you cannot play rook e2 to protect against queen g2 checkmate because there's rook h1 checkmate. And if you play queen c2 trying to give back some material, then there is queen h3 check, king g1, rook h1 check, king f2, and queen h2 checkmate. If after, let's go back, so we took on h2 with the king and then rook h8 check, we just went back to g1. What if we go back to g2? Well, then there is queen e4 check, king f1, and rook h2. And there's nothing you can do against being checkmated on g2 or h1. So back to that rook sacrifice, rook takes h2. As said, Petar decided not to take the rook. He played knight e2, but it didn't help him. Queen e4, the best move from Alex. and the only way to avoid being mated now or on g2 or h1 is taking the rook now. That's what Petar did, king takes h2. But then the next rook came into the game, rook h8 check, king back to g1, queen h1 check, king f2, and rook h2 was checkmate. 28 moves. Great game from Alex. Yes, his opponent made some bad moves and lost a lot of time with those knight moves back and forth, but still you have to punish it, and Alex did that very convincingly. Alex, you asked me about any tactics you missed or any huge mistakes that went unnoticed. Well, not from yourself, you played a very good game. This analysis may be more useful for Petar, for the white player. Thank you, Alex, for sharing this game, and well played, great game. Hope you enjoyed Alex's adventures in this game. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Progress channel. I'm looking forward to your comments, and it would be great that if you liked the video you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. You also may want to check out my Chess to Impress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick from Chess to Progress. Thank you very much for watching.